Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are we live, Pete? We are definitely live. I am live here with A. Arnold and Carol Kazeem. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chester.
Good afternoon, Chester. Well, good evening. We're about to go into evening. Good evening, Chester.
Oh, we're going into evening.
Yeah.
I'm still in afternoon.
Hello, everyone.
Miss Arnold, that's all that the people going to get is a...
Oh, hello, Chester and surrounding communities. We are so glad to see you today and chat a little bit about what's happening with our schools and funding and all those good things.
I need Carol Kazeem to get a little bit closer to the microphone.
Oh,
You need Carol Kazeem to get closer to the mic.
You got to turn to the side.
my kneecaps is only but so.
Kneecaps.
Yeah.
See that screw on the side?
What screw? This one?
Right. Go up a little bit. Further up.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. Turn it towards the TV. Now pull on the pipe. Don't turn it tight. Loosen it.
Oh. Don't you wanted me to
Now
tighten?
pull it out. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, this is fancy, Pete.
Yeah, sometimes you got to put it in your face.
There we go.
Right. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. So we're here today to talk about fair and equitable funding, right, for Chester Upland School District. I want to thank y'all for reaching out. I want to thank y'all for showing up. I want to thank y'all for standing up. Really, it's important that we have advocates that are fighting for our children because our children can't do it. It's important that we have people that are fighting for our community because a lot of our community can't do it. They don't know that you can fight. They don't understand that, right? So I want to first thank Miss A. Arnold, you feel me, for everything that she does for the school district. From the very first time I met her, you feel me, it has been an honor to know you. You feel me? I want to give you flowers now.
Thank you.
The fight that you put up, right, in the NAACP that I didn't even know it was still a Chester branch, but it is. You feel me? And what you teach our children in high school and just the confidence that you put inside of them. I saw that at the presentation that you had this year. You asked me to be a judge, right? I saw how confident our children can be if someone believes in them. So I want to thank you for everything that you do.
Yes,
Keep doing it. And
thank
whatever
you.
you already know, whatever you need from me, you got it.
Thank you
Right,
so
right.
much.
Miss Nicole Cogdell, I want to thank you. See, look at you. That's you. I know, right?
It's always
It's always you. I want to thank you for everything that you do, right? For everything that you have done, everything that you've helped me do personally with the radio station. You know what I mean? Literally, like, you're out here, you're fighting. And I know you don't always get the best side of the story told about you, but I know your heart. And I know why you're fighting. And I know it's not for anything else but for fair and equitable funding and helping our children. You feel me? So thank you.
Thank you, B.
And last but not least, man.
Yeah, you just straight went past.
Right, yeah, I'm going to just go back because, like, thank you. Literally, for showing us that anything is possible, for fighting, for stepping up, and for being a soldier, bro. It's important. You know what I mean? It's important.
Bro, you heard me.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Right, it's important. I'm
It's
about to
only
cry
certain
over
people
here,
that
but
call
I'm
him
not.
bro.
I'm not going to do that, right?
I love you.
But I love y'all literally because y'all helped me in so many ways, right? You helped me tighten up when I feel like, all right, I ain't got to do that. Y'all showed me that I got to get it done. So I appreciate y'all. I want y'all to keep on doing it. And I don't know too much about what's going on with the school district, so y'all going to take it away. My microphone is going off, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to learn about how I can help y'all. All right?
Okay.
All right.
So, Ms. Arnold, I think you should start with the opening introduction of where we went on July 26th, why, and what you have been doing for our school district and why it's been important for you.
Thank you so much. I hope I can do this justice because Carol has been at the forefront for this particular issue for funding for years. And I just have to applaud her. And because of where we are now, I am 100% behind her, supporting her in all of her efforts that she has so diligently done for our city and for the state of Pennsylvania. If you follow her around, you will find that Chester is known in the Commonwealth because largely the efforts of Carol Kazeem, and so I'm so excited about that. But the other day, we went to Harrisburg because the closing arguments for a lawsuit regarding fair funding had begun in Harrisburg, and we went to sit in the courtrooms to hear part of those arguments and to then go out in the rotunda and participate in a gathering where there was a press conference and folks were there from all across the state, and we were able to join with their voices to say that we support fair funding and that we are going to be there until the bitter end. When these arguments finish, there will be a decision, and it is expected that whatever the decision is, there will be an appeal. That will mean that the fight will continue, and so we will be needing you to help us support these efforts and make sure that the decision that is finally made is one that favors the underserved school districts around the not the United States, around the country, not the country, around Pennsylvania. Because if you were to hear some of the scenarios that the children are facing in Pennsylvania, it is horrible, horrible. In some of the western parts where there have been coal mining and some of the neighborhoods in cities have been desolated, the children are being forced to learn under some absolutely horrible conditions. You would think it would be a third world country rather than the United States of America. So the efforts that all of us are doing to make sure that there is a restructuring of how we fund schools is critically important. And once we get this funding established and improved, whether we do or we don't, what we must do here at Chester is experience a turnaround. Listen to me, people. We must have a turnaround in how we're educating our children, because the reason we get the funds is to do just that. America would be who America educates. And so we must be very diligent. Not that we haven't been diligent, but we must do a better job at turning around our school districts. So I'm wearing these blue ribbons because I am starting another movement on top of what Carol and others are doing. It's called Blue Ribbon, and I'm going to give you homework. You know, Arnold always gives you homework. She's a teacher, always a teacher. So I want you to Google Blue Ribbon school districts and the awards that are given by the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. It's a national program where students in schools are encouraged to close the achievement gap. You've been hearing about the achievement gap that exists in Chester and lots of other schools. And so the idea is let's close that gap. And if we make significant progress with that, we can apply for a Blue Ribbon Award, which if we win, will be awarded by the Department of Education, and we will have a beautiful blue flag to fly at each of our schools, and we will get that national recognition. So you'll be hearing more about that. I will be talking to the administration about it. They are very, very involved with the education of our children and seeing that we make the changes that we need to make. We've made some wonderful changes in our business office. I've got to talk about Miss Mosley.
Go ahead.
Who is our new business manager over there. She's going to beat me up for putting her out there, but I don't care. She's just that good. She has made some wonderful turnaround changes in the business department, and we want to continue that turnaround academically for our students. So that's the short version of what I'm about these days, the new things that I'm about, and I'm excited to be here. And right now we have to support the funding issue. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Go ahead.
Yes, and shout out to definitely Miss Mosley.
Yes.
She bounced on balls.
She's all that in a bag of chips. Can we say that anymore?
Yes, we can, Miss
Thank
Arnold.
God. Ms. Cogdell,
Yes.
I'm going to pass it on to you to talk about your experience on July 26th and why you've been advocating and what this means for you in your partnership with the school district students, I'm going to say.
So like Miss Arnold, I just want to thank you personally for, providing us with the opportunity to, show up. Because if not now, when, and if not us, who? So I just believe that, we were the ones that have been selected with this particular task. People who know me know that I have advocated for the last 30 years of my life, specifically for students who have learning disabilities. However, this particular fight extends even beyond students with learning disability. It's just that it's equitable funding, providing equality where it is needed, because, it's a phrase now that, the children that need the most get the least. And it's just that. And when Miss Arnold talks about third world countries, it's hot. And in a couple weeks, our students will be going back to school, right? They need to be in air-conditioned buildings. We shouldn't have to, close schools early because, our children need, basic cooling. So fair funding and ensuring that districts like the Chester Upland School District gets exactly what they need is crucially important. Big shout out to the state representatives that passed this current budget. And, that was important, and I don't want to take away from that. But that particular formula was money that we needed 5 or 10 years ago. So we are still we still need to look at the formula and apply equity. Our children still need the different resources, like, a lot of people saw divided attention, resources and the social and emotional learning, and those different techniques require money. And a lot of times that's the first to go. However, often it's what's needed the most to address, emotional needs, to address social needs. So even with divided attention, a lot of people have asked about that, and I will kind of like back up and wait for that. So for me, standing up, showing up, being a voice, that's what I was tasked to do.
Awesome. Since Pierre is not the moderator today, I would like to say
You do a wonderful job.
Good. You're doing good.
I would like to say
Excellent.
honestly, I thank you both for attending on July 26th. I know that was something that I have spoke about for a while and was putting out there, and I know some people weren't able to attend, whether it was due to school or them working, or probably just didn't have a way or the time. But I want everyone to understand and know that this isn't the end. So July 26th was just an oral argument that was taking place in one of our Commonwealth courts. And that particular hearing was an ongoing case that has been going on for a long time, for years, actually, when you brought up about the formula that was put in place back in 2015. And there was never no equitable budget. It wasn't no number put in place. And when we see Chester Upland, during those years up into current, we were in situations where we kept going under receivership. Mm-hmm. And part of that achievement gap was stemmed back from what they were saying regarding the funding. Although mismanagement plays a factor too with, finances and, who you elect in. But this specific hearing was very important because when I've been watching a trial and even been there and advocating and rallying and hosting our own and doing all of that, I started it back when they were first going under receivership, trying to get them to understand, okay, I understand that you guys keep putting us under state regulations and you guys are saying this is what we have to do. But my problem was that the Department of Education at some point in time wasn't stepping up. So even though the Common Pleas Court jumps in and they say, this is what we need to do, the problem that I was having is that, again, they weren't stepping up. So at some point in time, when do you guys come down on the state side and say, well, let's go figure out why is there achievement gaps this way? Let's go figure out what the needs are. So when you even speak about the Blue Ribbon schools, a lot of those schools that have that kind of funding, they come from that wealth. So they are able to build and bridge that gap. And that was one of the things that I realized. And then when it came down to the point of us being talked about, thank God, at the point of being charterized, then I started to come about more of a lawsuit. Because at the time, the lawsuit wasn't yet an appeal at that period of time. They already dropped it, case closed. It's just that other school districts in Delaware County and across PA brought it back up, parents, families. And I got a phone call from another school district, and they asked me to be a part of it because I was going out to other neighborhoods trying to get them to sign off a petition where they would be in support of not allowing Chester Upland to basically be charterized. And even though that they were outside in other areas in the county, thank you, even though they were other areas in the county, the best thing to do at that point, and that was the only way that I could think of, was get these other communities, get the other school districts, get the other families, to get them to say, hey, yes, we understand that we know we may have it here, but this isn't right what y'all doing down the street. This isn't right, this is what's going on. And not only that, it wakes up the Department of Education. So when I then took that back to Harrisburg, then they were saying, oh, well, it's easy for you to say in the southeast region, but on the rural side, I said, now you lie, because I went to Carbon County, I went to Adams County, I went to Uniontown, Fayette County, and I actually drove about 4, 5, 6 hours, and I went and got their signatures. And that specific map, that specific one I had a list of all the representatives at the time, and they are majority Republican areas. So I said, well, when I went to go visit your neighborhood, it didn't even look cute at all. So for you to sit here and say that it's just what we want, when I come and I see broke down buses on people's lawn.
Wait a minute, you went to you went there?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. My colored self went up in there,
I love it.
and they looked at me like I was crazy. And I know some.
I love it.
I remember this guy had
Isn't she amazing?
he had a shotgun in the house.
She's
So I know he was
amazing.
looking like, but again, I brought that up to say that even when I was there, it was the lack of education. Because some of the things that they said out their mouth was, well, it's like this here because of you guys. Well, what I got to do with it? I live 5 hours away. And they said, well, it was told, and that's what we was brought up, that it's because of you and you guys in the city and how y'all live. It's distressing what we go on here in the rural area.
Oh.
And that's what their politician, that's what they were about. I said, well, that's a lie. Because let me go hit Google and show you Chester right now and tell you what we got going on. And when I explained to them what was going on, they said, well, I'll be fighting too. So they said, well, if you're willing to drive this far and you're willing to sit in front of my lawn with a shotgun in my house, because I didn't know who you were and don't know Negro just come on my lawn, you know, and that's literally what they said. They said, well, therefore, to some degree, I know that maybe what we were being told was incorrect. So from there, we were able to build a relationship. We were able to get them to sign. And now they're legislators, which is why I believe part of the reason why that this historic budget played a factor, not only because we had so many people, so many representatives that was not going to sleep until that was done. So shout out to them on both sides of the aisle. But also, I think them being able to be woken up to know that no matter where they lived, all children deserve that quality education. And I think that was something that a lot of residents started bringing up, even in the rural areas and, you know, the urban areas, cities, wherever you live, they started getting them to understand that. So this trial specifically, and this is something that I want everyone to understand, because again, this isn't over. And the reason why it's not over is because of the fact that you guys were in the hearing. And one of the things that the judge brought up and said, which is why, let me ring the bell on this. May 17th, this is what y'all did.
Ooh, ring the bell, ring the bell.
Y'all went out and voted. This is why this is important, because what she said was, well, do you not think that we should leave it in the legislators' hands to continue to find a balance, or however they feel is pleasable to be able to pass a budget, whether it's more, whether it's less. And then she said, isn't that the way it's always been? That's the Commonwealth. We leave that piece to them, whoever's on the education committee, they put that through. When they pass their budget, they come up with a number. Shouldn't we be able to trust them enough to be able to do what's right for our children? That's exactly what the judge said. She said, so why should I be put in a place to overlook what was done and then make a judgment off of people that you guys elected to do? That's what she said sitting in that seat. And then the attorney who represented us said, well, yeah, you're right, but what do you do if 1 or 2 people is a plague to that house? What do you do when they're a plague to Harrisburg, when the right people aren't being elected in and they are voting on the wrong things that aren't in the best interest for our children? How do we maneuver around that? Honestly, I think she was going to say, well, tell them to go vote for the right people, but she couldn't say that. So I say that to say that there's 2 pieces. There's the piece of the law aspect, of them saying, okay, the court should then be able to put an amendment in place to say that this should be allowable. We should not keep looking at, our property or our revenue being in place for our students as the major factor of how the school district get the funding. But at the same time, it was like, well, should the courts overstep what the law in the Commonwealth is about? Is you sit and you elect representatives, senators, governors in place to do what's right for their people. So she wasn't wrong by saying what she said. Sure. And that's where the backlash comes in. That's where the fight comes in. Because it's like, yes, she wants to give what's right, but then do she feel like it's her duty as a judge to say what she feels like is best based off of William Penn coming to say something, Chester Upland saying something, Philadelphia School District saying something, Allentown and Pottstown. But then she got other school districts like Radnor. She had other school districts that was sitting there like Lower Merion that was just. And not only that, I want y'all to understand, we had other privatized and charter schools. I'm not even gonna say privatized, it was the charter schools. Their representatives were there on the other side, across from us, where me, Ms. Jean Arnold, Ms. Nicole sat. And when they were bringing up all the disparities, they were sitting there shaking their head no, saying, oh, well, that's not nobody's problem, that those children have what they have, that's not their problem, that their communities are poor, it's not our problem. Well, if anything, if it's that deep, then send them over our way. But then yet, when the judge then asked about their own credentials and their own rates and their own ratio and their percentages, they couldn't even provide anything that showed that they were better. If not, their performance was not even the same, even equivalent or even more. Right. So therefore, it was like, well, what's now the answer? So we bring up the fair funding, and the reason why, again, we were there is because we want to make sure that Chester Upland is included. Not the regular state budget and state funding we know we're going to get every year, but the money that we know that has been owed to us, and we want to keep seeing those historic budgets that are in place that just passed, again, like Ms. Cogdell brought up. And just for people that are not informed, Chester Upland did receive almost $11 million more than what we received the last year, the fiscal year. Now, again, this is also important. We have a lot of charters. In fact, we have the most charters in our own little small old town out of the entire state of Pennsylvania, for those that did not know that. Our little small town have the most charter schools across this Commonwealth. So what that means is that we also, out of most of these school districts across this Commonwealth, get the least, because most of that money goes directly to them.
40% of our budget goes
40%.
to the charters.
40%.
Where most of them that was in court was at 10%, 12%, 13%. I think 15 was the most, but we're at 40. That's a lot. That's a big chunk of our children. So again, I'm big on parents' choice, but I want y'all to understand that no matter how much we're like, okay, we need the funding, we really have to make sure that we're really asking for something that's going to be very much necessary, that even after we give them their money, what and how much money do we feel like is suitable for this district to put curriculums and the right resources in place to get us going, not just 1 year or 2 year that we keep seeing, but ongoing.
That's right.
So, that's what made me step up, was that once I started learning why our system, I had to learn, why is our system the way that it is? What is going on with our school district? Who is in charge here? Who is the top person that you're supposed to talk to? So that is why these things are important, but I didn't even understand, even as someone who just got elected in now as a candidate, how much when the judge said it about, shouldn't we be trusting them? Why should it even hit my desk? My chambers, this is what you guys elected them to do. And then yet they're sitting in the back like, we not passing nothing over here. We gave the most that we probably ever gonna give. So that's very important. So I say that to say that no matter where you live, it's very important. Mm-hmm. It's very, very, very important to go out and think about your leadership on all levels, from school board to representatives to senators and governors. And well, there's only one governor we have, but that's important this year too.
That system that we have in place called government is not working fairly and equitably for us. And so that's why we need to ask the courts to come in and make a change. You're absolutely right about that. And it is also important that we elect people whom we think are going to be honest and right for us when they get to Harrisburg or any such place. So here I am saying to everybody, It's wonderful that we are registered to vote. We have thousands of people in the city of Chester registered to vote, and others who are going to see and hear this broadcast. But folks, you have to vote. You have to vote. Can I say that again? You have to vote. So get more people registered, but listen to me. That Tuesday in November,
Hey.
go vote. And I'm not telling you who to vote for, but go vote.
Right.
You know,
That
Miss
part.
Arnold, it's 34,000 people or a little roughly over or under in the city of Chester. And, you know, based on the records, it's like 3,000 people vote, right? So when people ask, why should I vote? You know, Carol gave you a great example as to why you should vote, right? Because it's not too many people that's going to go into Royal, PA.
That's right.
And this is the first I even heard of it, y'all. That's going to Royal, PA, and literally, you know, having dialogue and having conversations. Because, you know, in a lot of urban school districts, you hear about homicide, you hear about fights and bullying, and even in rural districts, you hear a lot about, you know, a lot of drugs passing through,
Lack
as
of
well
jobs.
as, you know, suicide. So when you look at it, all of our children are, you know, they're in situations with trauma and pain, and it needs to be addressed, right? But for us at the Chester Upland School District, regardless to how people may feel, every child has a right to a free and an appropriate public education. Now, everybody was created equal, but everybody is not treated equal. With the state is the SEA, the State Education Agent, SEA. We are the LEA, the Local Education Agent. The state always had the primary responsibility to ensure that our children were receiving a free and an appropriate public education. Basically, they pay the LEA, which is the Local Education Agent, the money to take care of their ultimate responsibility, which is educating our children. Now, the state has had receiver, empowerment board, so many different layers as to in place to say, this didn't work, let's try this didn't work, let's try that. But one thing that I can say that for me, that was done right was, I don't know who's in HR doing this hiring process, but hiring Miss Mosley was one of the best things that could have been done for the Chester Upland School District, right? Because we know now when funding comes from Harrisburg, that it is going to be
Managed properly.
completely, okay, completely,
Transparent.
very transparently. She'll be able to say where every single dime is going to. So now we have people that are in place, right? That not just getting people, but getting qualified people, not just hiring people that we know, but hiring qualified people that we know. It's a whole lot of people that I know. But if you can't manage your own house and your own budget, then why would you want to manage a school district? If you can't do certain things within your own household, unfortunately, it's just certain roles that you should choose not to go in, and not be offended because that's not your role. All of us have a lane. We need to stay in it, because when we don't make the right decisions, right, it really hurts children. So equitable funding and accountability, ensuring that the charter schools show their expenditure reports, ensuring that the charter school is showing those necessary documents to say exactly how are you spending your money. The state should not want to say, hey, I'm going to write a check to the Chester Upland School District. You want to hold the Chester Upland School District and a receiver accountable, right? But then the charter school is not held with the same accountability. Parents can choose wherever they want to send their children. I'm not saying that charter schools are bad, because again, it's still a public entity and it's still public education. We're just asking for total transparency. That's all.
And I also want to and thank you for that too, Ms. Cogdell. That was a great point, and you too, Ms. Arnold. And I just need even though I'm candidate for 159, I just need right now our community to listen really closely, and I can be this is going to be as blunt as I can be, but as honest, and I'm going to say as respectfully as I can. It's really time, parents, that we really, really, really have to stand up. And I say this because when we were there on July 26th, if you hear the things that were told to our children, and I'm saying ours because even though those students were at William Penn, living in Sharon Hill or Darby or Philly, the things that was said to them by other officials, immediately the mama bear in me was getting ready to go off, because I'm like, who in their right mind, what adult would even walk up to a child? And they're saying to them, hey, we don't have heaters, we don't have air conditioners, it's cold, we keep getting let out early, and our waters are brown. Oh, well, I don't know what to tell. Talking to them like they're another adult. When all these kids are asking for, it's something that is just humane.
Bathrooms.
Bathroom. Like, so for me, when we talk about the trauma and we wonder why, and again, it's many reasons why some of our students and our children can be misguided or may not be in a path that we may want to see them on right now, or we may see a lot of outcry going on for them. But that specifically bothered me because those individuals turned those babies away. And then when they go back to their hometown and say, you know what, I tried my best. They told me to go up there. They told me to go to Harrisburg. They told me to speak. And those people don't want to talk to me. They don't want to listen to me. They just look at me as another little black girl from North Philly. When you look at that, what do you think that they're going to go back in their community and do? What do you think they're going to feel about themselves? So when they are told to go out and speak and voice about how they feel, and half of those individuals that were there did not even have parents. Either their parents passed away or were in jail. So they were actually under the care of maybe teachers that brought them, or maybe someone from the house. I know one person said a neighbor brought them. But I want y'all to understand that we are we are like literally what we are. We're feeding our children to the wolves right now. You understand? So we have to stand up. It is our job. We need them to speak up for what they want, but it's our job to fight for them. Yes. It's our job to be there, to be their backbone. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you even though you may not biologically have any children, you have children. Because you've been here. You get what I'm saying? And I know that if they disrespected any of our students here right now at that time, on that 26, you would have went off. But for me, it's like, how dare you? And I'm going to be honest, I take it more offensively because they were black children asking for something that is normal, that we should just want and we should automatically have. You know what I'm saying? So they weren't asked to be born here for the, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not putting it on those representatives or those legislators or whoever, or lawyers and everybody that was acting simple to them. But my thing is, it's still the way that as adults, how we conduct ourselves. Like just having to stand in front of the children, that is to let you know how low they think of our kids, how low that they think of us. Because if they can sit there in their face and deny them, turn them around, look at them up and down like they are nobody, like they monsters or animals, and they come in there and they're finding their nice little suits. The girl told me that a neighbor took her to the Goodwill to go find a nice little blazer and may not have it, and trying to come there as presentable as she's been taught to be. And you sit there and you do that. What does that tell you? We have to be there.
And Carol, what are some of the ways, and Miss Arnold, that
just
people
showing up,
showing up where,
showing
and how?
up. Listen, it's different ways how and where. It just depends on what's going on. Again, that's why I said parents.
Right.
The first way is that if we can start being there for our children. So whether we have problems in the school district, connecting with the teachers. If we can't connect with them, go through the principals and then the superintendent. I know it may seem like, well, I got to keep going through all these different people and I should just be able to directly. Again, sometimes everything just don't go peaches and cream.
Besides, we are paying them thousands of dollars to do those jobs.
Correct.
So that's why you should engage those persons in your concerns.
Exactly.
They're being paid to do the work.
And you go to your representatives, you go to your senators, whomever you feel like you need to go raise hell to about your child. Mm-hmm. You are your child's biggest advocate. Absolutely.
And your first educator.
And your first.
Yes.
So is it some other things that they can do? Join parent teachers associations. I know that Toby is in need of a entire Home and School Association. So
Every one of our schools.
I was going to say, every
Okay.
one of them right now.
We now have 7
Yeah.
buildings. We need to let folks know that the Widener Partner
Yes.
Charter
Thank you,
is
Ms. Arnold.
now a part of the Chester Upland School District. It
Correct.
still has the name of Widener Charter, but that is going to be changed within the next school year. So instead of the 6 buildings that we have had traditionally brick and mortar, we now have 7. So we need strong parent-teacher associations in each of those 7 buildings to advocate for the children. Absolutely.
Yes.
And I also see that in the Chester Upland School District that they're having registration 2022, 2023, and all of the documentations and when is actually on the Chester Upland Facebook page. I also see, I'm sorry, I'm doing public announcements, that Chester High is having a class orientation for freshmen, 9th grade, August the 22nd and 23rd, from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. Sophomores, 10th grade, August 25th, 5 until 8. Juniors is on August 30th from 5 until 8. And seniors on August the 24th from 5 until 8. You can definitely go to the Chester Upland School District's Facebook page because all of this information is
Or their
contained.
website. And for those that may not have internet, Chester Upland will send you a letter. So if you do have a child that is enrolled in the school district, those upcoming orientation dates, they usually do send you out a letter so you can have that information. If you do not have it, I would say at least by the 3rd week of August, reach out to the school district or go there to Chester High and see what y'all can do. Or you can easily reach out to Ms. Cogdell, myself, or Ms. Arnold, so we can then communicate with the appropriate department to see about your information if you're not able to access the internet, because some people may not. We do have grandparents that are raising children, and just some people may not have any access as well.
So if
will
you
get
have I'm sorry, because I got to do a little station break about that whole broadband issue too. So I know that Delaware County, since you brought up broadband and the lack of the broadband, I know that you can go to the state representative's office, senator's office, because it is a survey that's actually on your page that has a link, and it's also in on the Delaware County website as well. So if you don't have access to broadband, or even if you do have access to broadband, please fill out that survey that is on either Carroll's page or Delaware County's page, because there is going to be money that's going to be allotted about this very issue, broadband. So I'll step back.
Thank you. Yes, and that is important. So please fill out the survey so they can be able to know, where the need is at regarding our technology. And that's even important for our school district
Absolutely.
too. So as you guys know, when the pandemic hit, we all seen how that got far. So that is very important for them to know what kind of lines we have regarding our technology and our, high quality Wi-Fi.
Say a little bit, Carol, too. I was shocked to hear that one of the legislators had made a statement about McDonald's needing a workforce, and
Yeah.
therefore we should let some of our educational systems be what they are.
Be what they are, yeah.
Because, after all, why educate someone? Because we need people to work in McDonald's. Now, we don't do this flipping the hamburgers anymore, because I was at a McDonald's the other day and they had a conveyor belt, and so it
They
seems
just-
this-
they
yes,
put it
right.
down, yeah.
So the hand motion is a little bit different, but the point being that some of our legislators, people who are supposed to make those right decisions for fair funding,
Right.
are persons who might believe that we need to do 12 years of school plus preschools and whatever, so that our children can do the conveyor belt for McDonald's. After all, the cash register is automated, and you don't have to you don't have to count money. You just simply have to figure out how to use that technology. So anything you want to add to that?
yeah,
'Cause that was astonishing to me.
Yeah, that was very astonishing, and that's why I brought up to anyone listening or anyone that's going to listen about how we really need to wake up, because that was something that I was actually said to a child and then to a parent, and then literally literally on a court, in court on the floor, was what they said. I'm like, well, who would, like, the fact that they were bold.
Yes.
And I was very disturbed because a lot of times, we do put our children or students to start off in those careers, to give them some type of skills, to give them, something to do, to start putting money in their pocket early, teach them to be independent. But when you sit up there and you tell them, well, me personally, I think it should just be where it is. I don't think you even need anything more because McDonald's looking for more workforce, and I think right now you guys should need to be going in there. Again, it's our students. It was our black students that were in their face saying that. So it's like the fact that I know that they wouldn't have went back and told their own children that. Well, McDonald's need a workforce. So once you're done high school, that's about it. Yeah. Stop worrying about the other stuff that you need to get after that. They would never dare do that. They raise their children from the start when they're born to say you're going to be a doctor, you are going to be a lawyer. So we have to instill that in our children so they know that when they are met with that kind of opposition, they say, no, I'm going to be a doctor.
Or I will own the McDonald's franchise.
Right, I'm going to own it.
Several of them.
I'm going to own markets.
Yes.
I'm going to be a technician. I'm going to have my own business. This is what I'm going to do. Let's not set them up and allow people like that to do that. And like you said, that's why the judge said, don't you think we're supposed to trust who we put in those seats to make the best judgment for our children across our Commonwealth?
Well, Carol, I just appreciate both you and even Miss Arnold, because definitely you need people that are in the seat. And just like with the broadband survey, I definitely dropped the link in the CMP in the chat. So anybody that needs to take the survey, it is in the chat. In terms of the school funding lawsuit, I also dropped that in the chat as well. So anybody that's watching, anything that we are saying, you can go back and reference. We put actual documentation and actual links that you can go to. So the broadband survey is in the link, and the school funding is also in the link as well.
And right now, where we at in the case, we're just waiting for the judge to make a ruling, whether she's going to approve that an amendment be put in place for fair funding. What that would look like is really depends on what she approves of. I know we were asking for millions of dollars that were owed to the 100 school districts, which Chester Upland is one of the school districts, to part of that formula that was put in place, mainly because no numbers were put in place at the time when it should have been. Secondly, I know that would then basically continuously give us appropriate funding for our school districts ongoing. So every year when they pass the budget, that would be basically a set number that would be for those 100 school districts. So whether they allow the level up program or whether they allow a certain budget across the board. So it's a way that they have to balance it, because some school districts do get more based off of the wealth or the revenue in their local community than others, which is why the level up program was in place, so we can be able to balance those numbers from our local taxes that we have to rely on for our school districts, for those communities that may not be able to have it, to be able to put that in place. And thirdly, part of that lawsuit was to also put a cap on the charter schools, on how much they can take away from a school district, how many students they could take out, and a certain set price on how much they get from the students that may have IEPs.
Oh, yes.
So that was another thing. The charter schools, and it's not to take away from anyone that's there, but it's just what they were seeing behind closed doors inside management and those who are owning these schools, is that they're realizing that most of them are just being thrown on IEPs, but may not need it because of the fact that they get more money, and in fact they've been even getting a little bit more than to a public school. So that's kind of some of the things of what that lawsuit, in fact, that's the main things the lawsuit consists of. So it is very important. If it doesn't come through, which we are praying, God willing it does, the goal is to reappeal again.
Yes.
Nobody's going to stop until they make that move forward. Or the other way, like the judge said, which is another option, is that you elect the right people in those seats. So we don't have to keep having these problems. But again, it is very important for that lawsuit because the charters still need a cap. So even if we keep passing historic budgets, as many more as you keep allowing to go out, we're never going to see that money. So that's basically the main things about the lawsuit. So we will still be standing by. voicing our opinion, voicing our concerns, standing for our children. And the next time that they do have something, which God willing, the judge just approves it, we will be having a celebration, and we'll be expecting everyone in this school district to be there, because that would be a whole 360 turnaround for the way that this 2023 physical year will look like for all of us. So right now, it's more so just celebrating that we were able to get $11 million increase. Boom, boom, which goes into the gun violence. It's supposed to go into mental health. This budget consists of a lot. So not just within our school districts, we also want to chase the dollars that's supposed to be for the other resources that are a part of that budget. We want to make sure that that's being utilized properly and to the right organizations as well that should get it.
And do you see all of these stars? Definitely support CMP Radio. Definitely send the stars, because, we have a platform that is allowing us to have a voice, and not just a voice. It's not just the voice. It is the authentic voice. So when you think about CMP Radio, I know I'm adding another. People going to say not the authentic voice.
Malcolm X.
Yes. Barbara Muhammad they've been telling our children this since Malcolm X, who wanted to be a lawyer and was told that he couldn't be one. So definitely the authentic voice.
Let me tell you something. She didn't know what she did when she brought up Malcolm X.
Oh boy.
Okay. That is my father. What? He ain't my real daddy, but that's my daddy, okay? Because let me tell you something. Listening to him for as many years from when I was yay high, Malcolm.
Change your life?
Not even just change. I just feel like we not ready for that.
We ready. We've been ready.
Sis, they not ready for that.
They ready. They ready.
Not. P, you ready for that?
We ready.
I've been ready for that.
That's it.
Are you sure you ready for that?
We ready.
That's why this
Y'all not
station
ready
is
for
here.
that.
Well,
Who
if
ain't ready
we
for
are
that?
ready, then
We
we should
ready.
be.
Everything that Malcolm X
Yes.
Right.
have spoke about and stood for.
Right.
You know what he speaks on.
Right.
You know how he speaks.
Absolutely.
It may not be in the same way how everybody wants. Well, that's how I speak. But are we
You can't speak the way everybody is an individual. It's
not
three
speak
individuals.
mindset, the
Right. I'm just
mentality
saying, you
thing.
can never please
Right.
100% of the people
Right.
100% of the time. So if you're
So
moving,
like I said, I'm ready.
if
I know
you're
that's
moving,
right.
move. And I'm with you because I know who you are. And that's what Malcolm was saying. You know who I am. You know what I want. How I'm speaking shouldn't, it's because it ills somebody over here. They're the ones that are oppressing us.
But
They
are
should
we
be.
ready? Because they weren't ready. It was our people that was not ready for that.
No, it was there people that were scared.
Right.
We weren't
it's
ready
fear.
for that.
And
It's
we
fear.
cannot be
It's fear.
divided. We
Go
cannot
ahead,
be
Mr.
divided.
That's what I'm saying. So when
cannot
we
be
go
divided.
into our school district,
Yes.
which is something that he also spoke about with our kids and the way that they look at them, the way that they treat them. You get what I'm saying? Like
But
that's
it was
what
just
I'm,
like with the Arkansas 9. People were trained. You know what Miss Arnold and I often talk about this pretty much on a daily basis. I mean, to a certain extent, we have to provide the training and the mechanisms, just like that broadband survey. That's a mechanism. That's saying, please complete the survey so that we can do a right to know and find out how many people in the 159th legislative district completed the survey so that we know exactly what type of formula is going to be applied. Are they going to use a mean? Are they going to use a medium? Is it going to be an outfitter in a room? And then let's talk about it. Don't just put that pretty check of a couple $1 million in front of us and only 50 cents actually makes it to the community. So we gotta, we have to prepare the people. But our first step, and even you is educating, and you've been
Knowledge is
doing
definitely
that with the it's not just the broadband study, but we asking you to complete the study so that we know how many people actually completed the study. And then after completing the study, what type of formula is going to be applied. With the lawsuit, we have the information about the lawsuit. And also, please continue to share those stars so that we have the authentic voice for the station. P is putting that up as well. Support the station. Lastly, divided attention.
Before we go there,
Go ahead, Miss.
I want to touch on Malcolm X again.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Miss.
I'm going to ask a question. Where did he learn to read?
Talk heavy.
In jail
In prison.
Ooh.
with a dictionary.
Right.
Don't get me started.
Go.
That's why I said.
Start it
That's why I
off.
said with Malcolm X.
Yes.
Don't get us.
Go,
talking about-
We ready.
Yes, we're talking about closing the prison, the pipeline, by educating our children. And we see the gap. That's why I have these blue ribbons, folks.
Yeah.
Because we're talking
That's what I'm
about
saying.
closing the gap. Somebody said that our children start school in early childhood classes several thousand words
Behind.
missing
Right.
in their vocabulary.
Absolutely.
And I keep trying to find somebody to say to me, what are some of these words that we're talking about?
Miss Arnold, and with the words, because in education, you know, they have the real words and then they have these nonsense words, right? And years ago, they talked about using a whole language approach, which meant that you had to retain a certain amount of information, where a lot of our children learn through, quote, decoding, or in our words, phonemic
culture.
awareness, being able to break down words. So they took out the phonemic awareness and they put this whole word approach and then these nonsense words too. So it's a whole bunch of words, but the approach that they use in terms of, you know, the multi-intelligence that we talk about often, you know, auditory, kinesthetic, and visual, phonemic awareness allows for all of that to happen, but
Right.
they then took it out of school using this whole word approach. So I'm going to step back in terms of Malcolm X.
And so we're talking to parents. Children need to come to pre-K
Yep.
and kindergarten classroom ready. That's what I'm talking about. So that when they sit in a group with other young people and a teacher, they are receptive and ready to go to the next level. And we need parents coming out to schools demanding this achievement. If it's not there, there's data that goes back and forth to our homes to substantiate what is happening.
Right.
And there is no reason for us to not know what is going on and to insist that our children excel. Do not tell me,
Go ahead.
do not tell me that our children cannot be exquisitely excellent academically in every other kind of way. If you do not believe that,
Go
then
ahead.
you have,
Go ahead, Miss Arnold.
what is that noise?
That was Pierre.
class.
Yeah, okay. That means that you drank the Kool-Aid.
Right.
And if you don't know what that means, Google drank the Kool-Aid and that will explain that cliche. But the point of it is, if you do not believe that your children are geniuses, that we have Malcolm Douglases sitting
Yeah.
in these classrooms, that we
Absolutely.
have Malcolm X's sitting in these classrooms, we have Barack Obama's.
Go ahead.
And who was that just was our Supreme Court judge?
Clarence
Katanji.
Thomas. I know.
Katanji.
I thought you was about to say Clarence Thomas. I was about to say not him. We got some of them in the class.
Katanji
I just asked, are
Brown.
we ready?
Our latest Supreme Court judge that was accepted. When you listen to her biography, this lady had a magnificent coach for debating.
Don't you go
Debating.
there, Miss Arnold.
They won championships, and if you look at everybody on that debating team, they are all stars doing wonderful things in America and the world. So what am I saying, folks? We have to wake up.
Go
We have to
ahead.
wake up
Yes.
and recognize that our children are geniuses. And I'm going back to my statement. If you do not believe that, then you really have accepted intellectual racism,
Go ahead.
where you think that other people are smarter than your children.
Yep.
That is not true. Let me say that again. That is not true. And we need to support the idea that our children are geniuses and get the work done so that we can turn this around and watch those children. When you give them those experiences where they succeed, they change. They start to walk differently. They start to talk differently. They
Yes,
start
they
to
do.
play differently
And
because
think.
they know how smart they are. It's not something that is fake. It is real. They have experiences. They can put it in their portfolios. Can I say that again? Portfolio, so they can look at their achievements and know who they are academically, intellectually. So, folks, let's get on the bandwagon.
And Miss Arnold, the thing about it is, I'm sorry, I'm going because, you know, I get to education and start, you know, because even when you look at assistive technology, co-writer, write out loud, inspirations, using graphic organizers, it is out there. And our children in the Chester Upland School District definitely deserves that. But in terms of basic sight words, I mean, while you're cooking dinner, start with different mats. Have them have placemats with their sight words on it, where what did I learn? How did we catch up? Even if you have some catch up out there and we just catching up in the kitchen. We did that with the Center for Black Excellence. We literally used different words that and we put it in a menu, and they created a menu from their basic sight words, so that everybody was having a conversation. What Aquila to be is real. We can have words all throughout the city of Chester. They're basic. What is the third grade list? What is the fourth grade list? What is the fifth grade list? What is the sixth grade list? Let's incorporate that in our everyday and really root our children on. What's our word for the week? We should have a couple words for the week, Chester. That's how we bring children up to this particular century, where all of us are involved. When we say all in, we're all in.
And I'm thinking about how the school district, I know these people who are the administrators, they are doing an excellent job. They would welcome the idea of putting a curriculum on the website that would help close this gap. So parents and friends and family, you don't have to do it by yourself. You don't have to be a professional educator. We have professional educators whom we pay to do the job, and we can ask them, help us bring our children along, and I am sure
word list.
They will do it. Yes.
They have the word list. I've
Absolutely.
seen them.
So let's go for that.
Yeah, and to close what Miss Arnold, Miss Cogdell said, just as one thing that Malcolm did do, as why I kept saying, are we ready?
Yes.
Is because we have to come together to do it. So that's one thing that they
again.
did.
You gotta do what?
We have to come
Standing in
together.
solidarity.
We have to come together to do it. One thing that they did together is that they educated one another. When one learned, they found something out, they went back and they shared the resources.
Absolutely.
And they kept it within their community, within their circle, so every child can come out of that too. And that was that trend. That is something we have to start. So what you guys spoke on, we have to just start that trend. Whether it's what's the word of the day, whether it's watching them go on a bus and say, you looking cute today, mamas, keep going. Sometimes I just do that and they be, thank you. Or seeing, you looking handsome today. Anything that we have to do to start a trend, to keep that positivity, to get that enlisted in themselves, that would help us. But the first way that we do that is if we come together, but most of all, we have to be willing to also get the help within ourselves.
Yes.
To understand that we are somebody. You understand what I'm saying? Because we have dealt with so much trauma for so long that I felt like we've just kind of lost our own way, and we're just figuring out the best way to lead our kids on. But you cannot, just like we always say, hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
So if you're a broken person and you're trying to raise a child, you do the best that you can, but you're raising your child broken. So those things, sometimes stems off to the children. Children know, they feel it. My kids have felt it when I went through my ups and downs. So, it's an energy that they feel. So we definitely have to start coming together to start doing that. And so any resources we have, any type of education that we have, we have to, it's not even about us just dropping it. I'm saying to them too, we have to start enlisting that with one another.
Yes.
We have to start putting that information out there. We have to start coming together and doing those things. So
And just
I feel
like we share bad information, we can share good information.
All right.
Because often I hear, well, I didn't hear about this and I didn't hear about that. The broad brand survey, we're giving you an example. Please, Chester, can you share the survey? Okay, the lawsuit information, we're providing you with that information. Lastly, for me, I just want to share the divided attention. A lot of people are asking about the documentary that was done in terms of fair funding and with the use of mindfulness, how mindfulness is helping to change the culture in Toby Farms. And definitely we want it to be extended all throughout the Chester Upland School District, right? But mindfulness is going to be shown actually virtually on tomorrow. I have the link on my page. I didn't get a chance to share it on with Carol so that she can share it on her page. So one part is going to be shown on tomorrow. But it's also going to be a intimate part where you can meet the advocates, A. Arnold, Carol Kazeem, Christy Barnes, Jonathan King, Stacy Mandel, Nicole Mendez. Big shout out to Nicole Mendez, who was the executive director. You'll see Philly Cam. You'll see DeCaro, as well as myself. I'm hoping that that I didn't forget anybody. And that's going to, yes, P was in Divided Attention. So P as well. Yes, you was in Divided Attention, and so was CMP Radio.
Hold on, we got to hold Pierre accountable real quick.
Okay.
Go ahead, hold him accountable.
He was in it, but he didn't show up
No, so I just had a stroke.
to
What do you want?
to the fair
I just had a
he
stroke.
did.
that same week
Yeah.
or weeks later.
No,
Yeah.
it was a.
Let me think about this.
Stroke is a major thing.
I got a good memory. Let me think.
He had it on like that Thursday, but I'm gonna put it out there
Okay.
again.
Friday.
Then I'll take that back.
Absolutely.
The next one you
And
need
then
to be at.
August 16th.
She said virtual. No, I think
No,
she said
it's
virtual.
one tomorrow, but the one that we really need P at is on August the 16th. It's August the 16th at Widener University here in the city of Chester. It is one virtually tomorrow night. But the one at Widener University, you get to meet the advocates, you get to have a conversation. It's just a different experience to be in person. So August the 16th at Widener University at the Alumni Building. It holds over 500 people. So definitely come out and support the advocates, support the fair funding. You'll get to see it from nuts to bolts, but ultimately join the Parent and Teachers Association. Join, if you are alumni. I know, and I'm only saying Toby because that's where, that's where I worked, and I often talk to Mr. Popley as well. If you are alumni, you can adopt a classroom, adopt the 6th grade or a 6th grade classroom, or adopt a 7th grade classroom, because then you get to see exactly where your money is being invested. You can go and help with those particular words, whatever you deem to be appropriate, but the need is definitely there. If you are a organization, it's a link on the Chester Upland School District page where you can put in a different proposal and see how you can get involved. We need the people. We actually, even with homecoming, you're coming home, right? I'm a alumni of West Catholic, but when you come home, you want to come home with conditions better than where you left them, right? So the kids in the Chester Upland School District, they need you. What I've learned is what Chester makes Chester. We want this to be a great school year. We want to give our children the opportunity. So basically, I'm a step back. My name is Nicole Cogdell. I am one of the Chester Upland trio with A. Arnold and with Carol Kazeem. # stand in solidarity. # the Chester Upland School District. # blue ribbons.
That part.
She keeps
So-
coming at me, man.
Pierre, I was joking with
No, you
Pierre,
wasn't.
but
No,
I
you
definitely
wasn't.
expect him August 16th or
I'll be
tomorrow
there.
virtually.
I'll be there.
I only said him because I do want him to watch the entire thing, the students, but I also wanted him to recognize himself first and foremost, because during those times when all of this was going on, your piece alone is very important. Because people need to understand when we were in the midst of all of this chaos going on, from courts to talking about charterizing, where he said, you know what, let's put it out there. So that piece alone and your part really brings things more into light as to what we were going on. So I want you to understand how much you also played a factor. So you didn't have to be in Harrisburg. You didn't have to be in media. Well, in fact, you were in front of Chester High School when we did that one rally. So, but I say that to say that everyone don't have to be always in front of the building at that point in time. But just any little way that they play a factor is very important. So whether you are a teacher, past teacher, I'm sorry, teacher, past teacher. Whether you're a current teacher or a past teacher, whether you're someone that's just a parent, and shout out to the alumni that do continue to keep coming back to support and to help and to make sure that we push through. Because to be honest with you, when you start looking at our budgets and where it was at, some of these things probably wouldn't even been possible without them putting some money and raising some money on their own accord. So shout out to them. And again, just shout out to you guys for everything you guys have been doing, and even to everyone that been advocating. There were plenty of people that couldn't make it out to July 26th, but I know that their heart is there, and I know that they've been on the front for fighting. I know parents that has PTOs, that have the teachers, so, that are part of these different discussions and different panels that tried to speak for our babies, but they weren't able to be in attendance either because they couldn't make it, or probably they just didn't know. But I know that their heart is there, and this fight, that budget, and I want people to understand that no matter how much someone or a representative take any kind of credit on to say that, good thing they did it, but I want y'all to know it was y'all voice that did that. Y'all voice did that. Y'all saying that we want more. Y'all saying that our kids deserve better. Y'all saying that why are things the way that they are, and we deserve these type of programs, and we deserve band back, and we deserve, carpentry in place. Those things that you guys were speaking about and the curriculums, and saying that, all right, let's come together, let's sit around, let's do a comprehensive planning, whatever y'all felt like was needed to speak up and voice out. I want y'all to know that they seen you all.
The Deneen Moses,
They
the Carla
seen
Beavers,
you all.
yes.
So don't ever let anyone take that away from you. And that's to you too. And I'm only saying that because I hear, and I mean no disrespect, because believe it or not, they're now, I guess, considered my colleagues. So I'm going to be working with them in Harrisburg, and I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. And I've told them to their face that I don't want anyone to ever be thinking that you didn't put your little small piece that you think was small was very major. So don't allow anybody to take that away from anyone in this room or anyone that's watching, that that you've been there. Even if you were a parent that was involved with your child and going there for the meetings, going to back to school nights, volunteering, any way that you were doing the best of whatever you feel like you can do to help support your child, any student or the school district you made that possible. Don't ever let anyone take that away from you. And I'm only saying that because I watch them in Harrisburg. I listen to them and I hear it, and I know something. I'm not saying they shouldn't take pride with themselves, but I think sometimes it's forgotten that the reason why these agendas and budgets and policies and bills are even put to the front, to even the House floor or the Senate floor, is because of advocates like you guys. Yes. So I want you guys to understand that. So don't let anyone ever take that or silence that from you guys, because that is something that couldn't been done without y'all and everybody else raising hell to them. I just need the Department of Education to get up on it, but it's okay because they got the right advocates, the right city, and the right school district to play with. If they want to keep playing with us, because they next on my list.
That's it.
Let me put out a prophecy. And the prophecy is that people will be coming from, listen to me today. What time is it?
Almost close for us to shut down. So you close us up, Ms. Arnold.
This is the prophecy. At this time on today, which is August the 2nd, 2022, we are saying that people will come from around the world to Chester Upland School District to say, tell us how you did this, because the world needs to know what you did. And that will, what does the Bible say? The last shall be first. That's what shall happen in the city of Chester.
Amen.
I've said it today, and I'm not backing off of it.
And we're leaving it right in his hands.
Yes.
Pierre, would you like to close us out with
Yes.
your CMP radio? There we have it, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the end of the show. CMPradio.net is a community radio station. Whatever's happening in the community, come up here and talk about it, right? You have that. This is why this station was created, to give a voice to the voiceless. And for that reason and that reason alone, yes, the CMP need money to stay alive? Absolutely, right? Because if we're a community radio station, you would expect for the community to keep it running, right? It's not a profit for me. I can go get a job. I can work too to do what I need to do. But the station, for it to stay here, for it to keep on growing, for it to keep on doing the things that it do, it needs money and it needs people. And that's really all I have to say, right? But CMPRadio.net, I want to thank Miss Carol Kazeem. I want to thank Miss Arnold. I want to thank Miss Cogdell for coming up here and talking about fair, equitable funding. They're gems, bro. Like, that's all I can say. And you don't notice people that are great when you don't understand greatness. So that's it, man. CMPRadio.net. Thank y'all for stopping through. And we're out of
Support your local station. Support CMP Radio.
Yes.
They put a lot of effort in. It's a lot of things that are still needed here, even though I couldn't work this microphone, but you know.
Yeah, I gotta get a new table.
So he needs a new table, y'all.
Right,
so
right.
let's start donating. So shout out to all the sponsors that's been giving to CMP.
Absolutely.
You know, not shout out to
Electric,
me,
man,
but shout
since
out
the
to me
first
for
day.
been saying that I was going to bring waters and I haven't yet.
Right.
So shame on me, but I will be bringing them.
Man, you
I'll be
brought
donating.
waters.
Once I'm making a little something, I'll give you some.
Oh, all right.
But right now, I'm not a current sponsor, but I am a supporter. You can definitely count on that.
I got to say this. Carol just demonstrated a little bit of her visual spatial intelligence when she was trying to manipulate this microphone.
Absolutely.
And that's an intelligence that we don't have an IQ test for.
Right.
We don't test that necessarily when we do our standardized tests. But trust me, carpenters need it. And if you're going to be a surgeon, you need to have proper eye-hand coordination because you need to be able to know where to put the scalpel. So, beautiful intelligence, and I just wanted to comment about that because here again, we are smarter than we think we are.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Arnold. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, please stay tuned for any other upcoming dates that we may have regarding the school district. You guys can also follow my page at Carol Kazeem. I do have an upcoming town hall August 27th for ages 13 to 18. We're going to make it fun as possible. But please bring those babies out for
Register.
this beautiful opportunity.
I have to
This
find a
is
child.
something you coming on in there. But please, 13 to 18, reserve, your seat. The link is in my website at Carol Kazeem on Facebook or even on Instagram. Go right in there. Again, 13 to 18 years of age. Me and Jalil Beats is co-hosting. Shout out to Jalil Beats, who had to listen to my mouth for about an hour about everything else because he knew I was not playing. But I know right now he's just letting me handle however I want to handle everything.
Wonderful.
He just doing exactly what our wonderful brothers, our men do. They just sit back and just let us handle what we need to handle. But definitely, please, August 27th, come out, bring the babies, but you have to reserve because seats are limited. And we do have virtual as an option. So if anyone do want to watch online and cannot make it in person, you also still have to reserve so we can send you a link before time get close. 13 to 18, it is free. Bring them out, let them come have some prizes, some fun, listen to some music, listen to some beautiful special guest panelists, some guest speakers that we have coming in. Some of these speakers are flying in, so please let them come hear them out. People aren't just, they doing it because they care about y'all kids. They're doing it because they want to see them. They want to see our children succeed. We're going to be talking about different topics that are very important, from gun violence to cyberbullying to mental health. We want a safe space for our children to speak. Most of all, this is a town hall for our children to voice for themselves, because we are always voicing for them. We need them to let us know what they want and how they want it.
I'm going to try to get some children from the Boys and Girls
Please do.
Club. They were just at a wonderful conference in Orlando, Florida for youth leadership, and they do some wonderful things there. They have learned some wonderful things about leadership, and I'm going to do my best to get some of those children to be there. That's the way I can get my ticket in. I need a child. So
Absolutely.
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning
I
in.
dropped it in the link too about Let's Talk About It. So it's an Eventbrite link at the end that will take you right in. I just dropped the link.
Thank you. So everyone, Ms. Cogdell just put the link in there.
Y'all look long-winded. You said the show was over 10 minutes ago.
Uh-oh.
Ms. Cogdell put the link inside of the chat, y'all. Please visit the link.
I'm just saying I had to wait
But
up.
we are actually done now because I do got to go. So
Right.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you,
gotta
Ms.
come back
Arnold.
so
Thank you,
can
Ms.
talk
Cogdell.
about this and
Thank
what
you,
it's
Pierre.
about.
What? Let's talk
I'm sorry.
about it.
Yeah, y'all got to come back and talk about what y'all got going on, man. You can't
We'll
just-
talk about it. We'll
Ain't
come
no-
through and talk about it. Some things I can't say because I'm trying to hold some stuff as a surprise, but I'll
People
give you
still
guys
need
the
to know why they
overall.
coming. They
Huh?
still need to know why they coming.
Yeah, I'm going to give them the overall,
Right, right.
topic of what it's going to be about. I'm also going to do a live to talk about it, but I'll come back and give y'all a little briefer summary.
Wonderful.
A quick summary.
Thanks.
And then after we done, for those that bring their children, students, we'll talk about how that turned out. Thank y'all once
Thank
again.
you so
RP,
much, sir.
thank you for hosting us.
Thanks,
No
Pig.
problem.
Thanks, Jean-Pierre.
Yeah,
No problem.
Jean-Pierre. Jean-Pierre.